For nearly 2 decades, I have lived in a body that feels like a battlefield. But the hardest part wasn't the illness, it was the isolation. From the time I was a toddler, I caught every virus in circulation, while our family doctor urged my parents to monitor my unusually high infection rate. They brushed it off as a typical childhood phase. That dismissiveness set the tone for the next decade. By the time I started school, "I don't feel well" became a daily mantra that my parents treated as a lie. They forced me to attend class regardless of my symptoms. Inevitably, the school nurse would call them to pick me up. My parents were convinced I was simply a lazy child who hated school. On the rare days they allowed me to stay home, they used my exhaustion against me. If I slept the day away, they claimed it proved nothing other than a preference for napping. The turning point should have been when I was 8 years old. I collapsed at school, dizzy, lightheaded, and weak. An ambulance took me to the hospital, where I was finally diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. It wasn't my parents' intuition that saved me, it was a medical emergency they weren't there to prevent. Yet, even with a formal diagnosis, the skepticism remained. They accused me of playing up my condition and forced a 2-hour rule, making me stay at school for at least 120 minutes before I was allowed to call for help. At 15, the tension boiled over. During a heated argument, my parents finally admitted the truth. They didn't believe I was actually suffering. They insisted I was exaggerating my pain just to avoid my responsibilities. Earlier this year, a second blow landed. I was diagnosed with a form of epilepsy. These seizures are subtle, nearly invisible to an untrained eye, but they have been compounding for years, working in tandem with my autoimmune disease to wreck my physical health. This second diagnosis finally scared my parents into reality. Suddenly, they are ready to believe me. They've offered apologies and a desire to work together so I can lead a normal life. But I cannot find it in me to forgive them. They didn't just ignore my symptoms, they actively intensified my suffering by making me feel like a liar in my own home. Now, extended family members are pushing for a reconciliation, and my parents are beginning to frame themselves as the victims of my coldness. I feel as though I am being held hostage by my own support system. Am I the person in the wrong for refusing to forgive the people who watched me suffer for 17 years and called it an act?